Hello. Trying to make sure I'm actually recording here. I wanted to take a few minutes to explain to you what is due for chapters 11 and 12. The content mainly it consists of chapter 11 is where most of the content is dealt with in the textbook because it's our last. Actually, it's not our last. We have 6 objectives that deal with stress management and wellness. It's obviously a big topic for you guys that are college students, and it also is a big topic for people in this time of lifetime and day in our society, because everyone's in such a fast-paced, hurry-up mode of being, whatever you want to call that. I went over a PowerPoint in class this past Monday night on July 13th, and the PowerPoint, you all got a copy, those of you that were there, and at the end of, well, not the end, throughout the PowerPoint presentation, there were questions, and the questions are, well, the first one, you're going to have the test. What I told the group that was there Monday night was that the questions for Chapter 11's test would be the questions that are also in the PowerPoint. One of the first ones that's on the PowerPoint is what are some things that can cause stress, and our book talked about the big 3. There are 3 main things life events that cause stress. Now, there are other things that the book talked about, but the big 3 is what I'm looking for there. But the next question has to do with, it's a 2-part question, and I told the group that they needed to address both parts. The question is, what are some emotional triggers or coping strategies for managing stress when in challenging environments? Well, you all are in a challenging environment in college. We have both traditional college students in our class and non-traditional college students. You all should know by now what the difference is. What are the emotional triggers is the first part of the question. Things that trigger stress, things that make you upset or worried or fearful. That's the first part of the question. What are some emotional triggers for managing stress? Or I guess it would be better to say, what are some emotional triggers that cause stress, for that first part of the question. And then, what are some coping strategies for managing stress? So it's a 2-part question. So you need to address the emotional triggers for traditional and non-traditional students, and then coping strategies for traditional and non-traditional students. The next question is, and this is a pretty deep one, but it is talked about in section 11.4, the last part of chapter 11, pages 234 through 239. What are some effective communication techniques when dealing with conflict and diversity? There again, 2-part question. Techniques for dealing with conflict and techniques for dealing with diversity. Now, some of those may be the same for both, but that is covered in that section in chapter 11. We're talking about how to communicate effectively when you are dealing with conflict and diversity, and in this case, diversity has to do with diversity amongst people. We are diverse by our ethnicity is the way you say the word, or ethnic group. We are diverse by cultural groups, obviously gender. There's male and female. Nowadays, sexual orientation is a way that people are different by race, and there's several other things that are mentioned in our book. And a lot of the differences, I think, do cause conflict in a setting that you would be in a work setting, in many settings. But I didn't mean for that necessarily to, well, dealing with conflict and diversity. It's really two parts there. But that's a test question that's also, it was in the PowerPoint. So if you go back to the PowerPoint, you will be able to see the questions, and the textbook is going to give more information for the answers. Not sure if I asked this one on the test, stress reducing techniques, but I do know that I talked about, based on choosemyplate.gov, which is a website, and you'll see a little icon there in the book on page 217 through 219. Give an example of a nutritional meal, and you have to, an example for a nutritional breakfast, lunch, supper or dinner, some people call it dinner, and a snack. So in a typical day, what would be a nutritional meal for each of those meal times for one day? Another question has to deal with physical activity and a wellness plan. I think the way the test question is written is you need to talk about wellness activities or physical activities or exercise, whatever you want to call it, for the 4 days that you are at North Georgia Tech, a typical week at North Georgia Tech, which we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So just for those 4 days, what is something you would do typically once a day that would be a wellness activity, a physical exercise? The next question, I can't remember if I asked on the test, what are some things to do in order to avoid weight gain and reduced energy? There again, that's a two-parter, weight gain and reduced energy. Obviously, some of those would be the same. The next question, let's see. We talked about substance abuse and eating disorders as being unhealthy ways to cope with stress. So we talked about 4 big ways, and there again the textbook explains it better, that people choose to deal with stress in unhealthy ways, unhealthy coping strategies. Talk about those and explain how people, why they use this product and how this product, or the products, in some cases it can be more than one product, but these unhealthy coping techniques are hurting people, is basically what angle I want you to look at it from. How it's unhealthy for one such as you that is in college, if you chose to do that thing to cope. And people have different strategies for coping, and those are unhealthy strategies. Let's see. I was trying to make sure I had covered all of that. Now, you have an option of taking the test in Angel. There is an Angel version of this test, and since it's basically essay-type questions, that will have to be something that I manually grade. It's probably going to tell you when you get finished that you don't have a grade, because I will have to manually grade it. And then you can print out the paper. I told you guys you could turn it in to me next Monday. But guys, next Monday is, well, we actually have 2 face-to-face classes left. But I really don't want to wait till the very last night and try to be grading the very last-minute stuff. Try to get this done, and hopefully that last Monday all we'll have left to do is just present your PowerPoints that go along with your portfolio assignment. That's all for Chapter 11. There's not really anything there on that test that goes with Chapter 12, but Chapter 12 will be dealt with As far as doing the cover letter and the resume, those are examples in Chapter 12 on page 260 and 262. Also, there are other things that you're going to be doing that will be taken care of as far as Chapter 12. You have an interest survey which will go along with Chapter 12. At this time, if you have any questions, just email me, and I will be glad to answer your questions. Thank you.